Bonjour, dear colleagues. I miss you all in Iran. I always think about you, especially at this time of the year, because of course we would have been planning the convention a few years ago. Hussein has asked me to speak to you about food tourism. And for those who don't know, I am Canada's very first food guide. And I specialize particularly in food in Montreal because we are a food city. And I started including food in my tours in 1992. And since then, I've worked with Gourmet Magazine, National Geographic Traveler, well-known chefs, media, and people who just really love food and love to experience it. So those who come on tours with me on a food tour, these are people that are really, really, really adventurous. Now, in Montreal, we're known for many things, and when I do food tourism, I always include the iconic and the not so iconic. I also include the story behind not just each dish, but the story of why certain things are found in our particular region that you might not find in the rest of Canada. And food tourism is very hard to define, and most people believe that it's taking visitors from one restaurant to the other. In fact, the most important part of food tourism is to actually have passion for food. So no matter what you're guiding, you cannot hide the fact that you are not passionate. And in Iran, of course, everybody's passionate about food. So how do you present food and that passion? Well, you need to be able to cook. You need to be knowledgeable about the ingredients. You need to be knowledgeable about the story behind a single or particular ingredients. And one good example, when I was in Iran, of course, the first two times with all of you, first in Mashhad and then again in 2015 when I was helping you prepare the convention, many of you might remember that I am a lover of pomegranate. I know everything there is to know about pomegranate. Even the sight of a pomegranate excited me. So you can imagine that when we were doing the site inspection and I would see these gardens and courtyards with the dried pomegranates and the variety of pomegranates, oh, I could eat it all day. And since then, I've really learned where it came from, how it traveled. Another favorite dish of mine, it is actually one of my favorite dishes, and I'm sorry, Iran, but the best ones are actually found in Egypt. It's called wara'ayna. Another word in Greek is dolma, or stuffed vine leaves. And the history and the journey of the vine leaves really, really fascinates me. So when you're talking about food and food tourism, don't only limit yourself to that particular product, but find out about the journey of where it traveled to and how it was influenced. And in each region, the vine leaves are made completely different. So for example, in northern Greece, they don't use any meat. In Egypt, depending if you're in Alexandria or if you're in Cairo, they might have meat, they might have tomato, they might be spicy. But each family also have their own recipes. I always say that food is like a language or a dialect. It varies from 100 kilometers away and from traditions depending on the availability of whatever food there was. And so when you are taking visitors on a food journey, it is really important beyond anything else not only to be knowledgeable about the products, the food, how they're grown, the story behind it, the families behind it, but that you really have to love food. You have to love cooking or watching chefs or participate in it. And food is something that people can remember. I can still taste in my mouth. In February 2009, my best friend and I were traveling together from Lebanon and Syria, and we decided to go to Chevalier, this beautiful Crusaders castle in Homs. And we climbed up the hill. It was February. Nobody's there in the Mediterranean in February, and we got really hungry. So we decided to stop at the only restaurant that was found near the castle, and we had a meze. So all the different dishes with hummus and baba ganoush and fattoush and so on. And we were so full. And then the gentleman who owned the restaurant, who was really well known in the area, brought this amazing grilled chicken. It was so good. To this day, I can still taste it. It was so good that the next day we came back for more before leaving back to Lebanon. And then I kept contact with him, and I kept trying to recreate it at home. And it wouldn't work, and I couldn't understand why it couldn't work. I called him and I said, what am I doing wrong? I even bought garlic, olive oil, and lemon from Syria. Tried to find a grocer with Syrian chicken or a type of Syrian chicken. Tried and didn't work. I finally called him again. I said, it still didn't work. Why is it not working? And he said, did you put the lemon, olive oil, and pepper in the fridge? And I said, who puts olive oil in the fridge? And I tried it, and I recreated. And as I put this in my mouth and my friend were eating this, it brought us right back to the castle, to the meal that we had with him. So food and the tastes of food are part of a journey when you're learning about culture. In all of my tours and my experience, I make sure that my visitors experience and use all of their 5 senses. So when we talk about food tourism, it doesn't have to be anything big, but it should be diverse. So if you're traveling with them throughout the different regions of Iran, make sure that they're tasting really local regional dishes. Some things will, of course, repeat themselves. And some things within one country are eaten every day, such as rice and saffron. But to really give someone a food tasting experience, it really has to come from passion. I love to cook. And I spend a lot of time cooking. I spend a lot of time learning. I spend a lot of time learning about the products. I've gone to farms. I've spent a lot of time at the market as well. So food tourism is very hard to define because it really will depend on who your target audience is. If we're talking about local Iranians who are going to be traveling from one region to the other, it's a little bit easier, but also difficult because they will tend to believe that they know everything. So you have to take them on a journey which is really out of the box, not something you would do with visitors from outside. For example, if you have a particular type of cheese and it's only grown in one particular area, introduce them to the farm. Show them what cows produce it, why this cheese has this flavor, what is it in the grass. Those small details are really important, and it's a really good way to also encourage people to eat locally. So I encourage you in your food journey and your food training to start with passion and start with really knowing the products that you are going to be introducing to your visitors. I train certain food guides, and more specifically, I train them how to present the food. The food itself is very easy. And food tourism isn't only about tasting. It's really the journey that food takes you through before you even put it onto your tongue. So I hope that you are going to have really great training. I know it's a difficult year, and I'm sending you all of my best wishes. Congratulations to Hussein and his whole team for giving you this opportunity, and I look forward to hearing from you. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram. Many of you do, and I look forward to seeing and speaking to you very soon. À très bientôt. See you soon. Hey, Iran, Iran. Da 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 da. Hey, Iran, Iran. Da 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 da. Miss you all.